Hey glam dolls, welcome back to our channel. I hope you guys are all fabulous today. I've been missing for about a week now, and it's due to the fact that I have recorded this video and re-recorded it. This is now the third time. I have had a really hard time with deciding if I was going to do this video and went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But due to the events that have happened in the past couple of days, it has kind of lit a fire in me. And I want to do this video. And I just hope you guys forgive me. I'm going to be kind of all over the place in it. My thoughts on this are all scattered. And with the recent events I'm talking about have to do with Kavanaugh being elected and with his whole case and what a disgrace it is for us as Americans. Now, I want to start by saying it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, or independent or whatever you are. I normally vote Republican, but right now I'm really, really sad for my party as a woman. And it has to do with sexual assault and sexual abuse. Now, I want to warn you that if you are triggered easily, today's video may not be a video you might want to watch. You might want to go ahead and skip it, and I will see you in a couple of days with another happy makeup review or tutorial. But this is something that happens to every single female. There is not one female I know that has not been sexually abused, sexually harassed, sexually assaulted, raped, molested, just completely sickens me that every single girl I know this has happened to. At least one of those things or multiple of those things, or multiple times. It is sad that in a society we have deemed this okay. And it's not just in the US. This happens all over the world. And men get away with this on the daily. So today I am choosing to share something I haven't told anybody besides my husband and my sister and another close friend of ours, a close couple friend of ours. I haven't told anybody. And this isn't even like a bad story to me, but it has to do with me almost keeping a secret that happened to me that could have helped another girl who was raped. And I'm still stuck not knowing what to do, and it's very hard. I am filming this in the privacy of my bedroom because this is not something I want my children to hear, and this is something that I just really, really need to be alone with my thoughts on. And this is going to be something that's really hard, and I'm not an emotional person. My friends know I'm not an emotional person at all. I'm emotional in the fact that I do have a very fiery personality, but when it comes to crying and things, sad emotions, that I don't. I get mad, But this is something I've been harboring a lot of feelings on this, and it triggers me as well. Okay, so to start this, I'm going to need to give you guys a little bit of information and then kind of cut back and explain how we got here. This all happened 4 years ago. This came to light. What happened to me happened 5 years ago, literally 5 years ago on Halloween. So what happened last year is, I'm trying to figure out how much information to divulge here. I want this to be so open and honest, but there are people that can get hurt by this. And I'm not sure still if I am ready to come forward and speak my whole truth to some of these people. I'm sure some of them are going to figure it out after watching this video anyway. But there was a man who was in power at a place that I go to regularly. Okay? He was accused of raping a girl since she was little. The woman is now about my age, if not a bit older. I want to say she's about 5 years older than I am, 33. She's got to be in her early 40s, late 30s, early 40s by now. The girl had been brought up in a very troubled home. The parents were drug addicts, I believe, and the gal leads a pretty normal, nice life now. She has a great family. She stopped going to where this man was in power because of what happened to her. She had finally come forward about his rape, or about him raping her, from the time she was like a young teen, I want to say. And this man is so manipulative, and they usually are. This man was so manipulative and had everybody loving him. He was very charismatic, and had this not happened to me as well, I would have never believed this girl, okay? Let me just put that. I would have sided with this man as well. So would my husband if he had not seen it with his own eyes, okay? This man had everyone believing that this girl was a lying slut, basically. That she was crazy, that there was no way he ever did this. But of course, why would he? He's being accused of being a pedophile. And I guess the rape also went on into her early 20s, and that he was still courting her or grooming her, throughout this whole process. And what is scary is the same things he was saying to her to groom her, he had started doing to me 5 years ago. And I wasn't the only one. There are other girls, from what this gal said, there were 3 other girls besides me, but everybody was too scared to come forward. Now, the place that we all attend, where this guy was in power, there are some very judgmental people there. It can be a very gossipy place. At the point that this had happened, I had only been going there a few years. My husband had been going there his whole life. And this is and maybe the people who are on the inside don't see it this way, but as an outsider coming into it, this is how I viewed it. Very judgmental. Not everyone there is. The group of friends I have made there, I could be so 100% completely open and me and not feel judged. But the older crowd, a lot of the people who had been there forever are that way. And they are very prejudiced and really stigmatize every little thing you do. And unfortunately, in the town that I live in, a lot of people are that way. Especially growing up. I grew up when I was growing up, it was a well-to-do white suburban family kind of, place to grow up. And everybody kind of kept their bad seeds and their secrets behind closed doors. You know what I mean? You don't come out and speak about these things. And everybody gets on women saying, like, why didn't you come out with it at the time it happens? Well, this is why. No matter when you come out with it, nobody believes you. So this gal came out, said she was raped by him, and he had been courting her since she was a child. And everybody at this place, the judgmental place, who at this place is the worst place for it to be as cliquey as it was and judgmental. It really divided us. He had so much pull there that he had so many people believing him that he did not do these things and that she was a crazy liar. And he sets these things up. See, he has told me like about this girl before and said that she would throw herself at him and this and that. Like, he set this up months before it even came out. You know what I mean? So he would plant these seeds in people's head so that when it came out, he could say, she's crazy. Remember, I told you about her. So don't believe her. And that's exactly what he did. Well, come to find out, he was doing the same thing to me. This is why it's going to be all over the place, because I had to set that up, and I'll go back and tell you what happened to me and then tell you how it all ties in. So Halloween 2013, 5 years ago almost, you guys. I didn't even realize how long it had been. I thought it was only a couple years ago that this has happened. And it's sad that it's still being brought up to this day by members of the place that we go. And they're still calling her a liar. And they're still making her look like she's the crazy one. And now it's like almost everybody has forgotten what this man did. And they have befriended a rapist, a child molester, a sick fucking piece of scum. Now, unfortunately, I'm the only one who has proof of the character of this guy. Now, I don't have proof that he is a child molester. I have proof just that he tried to be an adulterer. He sexually harassed me, that he used his power to manipulate. And so what he did to me was not illegal, but it was definitely grounds for termination from his position. So I know I keep going back and forth. Now I'm going to go in. It's just so hard to tell this story without going back and forth and back and forth. So I hope you can stay with me here. So I'm going to go back. It happened 5 years ago. Halloween. Actually, no, we need to take it back even further. So when I first started at this place with my husband had been attending this place since he was a child. And I had started attending with him. And I had been so welcomed by everyone there. Well, most everyone. My husband's a very charming, charismatic guy, so most people love him, which I'm very outgoing and everything as well. So people really, really welcome me there into the groups. And I felt like I'd found a home, and made so many great friends and created like this little family there. And I still feel that way today with that place. Now, amongst those people that I had met was this man who had power at this place, okay? And at first, it started off as nothing. This guy just was very welcoming, like somebody in his position should be. There was nothing inappropriate at the start. Very welcoming, so much so that Gabe and I, once we got engaged, wanted this man to marry us. We wanted him involved in our wedding. That's how close we were. And so, Gabe and I, also being any young couple, we don't hardly ever fight, but we did have a couple of fights, okay? And I was able to talk to this guy. This guy was a spiritual leader in a sense, And so I was able to talk with this guy. He prayed for us. He, kind of counseled us on our relationship. He was older. He was in his like 50s or I want to say 50s or something. He was older, and he seemed very knowledgeable and very helpful. And so anytime that like Gabe and I had any issues or needed advice on anything, we would go to this man. And Gabe was all for it. He was like, I'm so glad that someone is being so welcoming to my wife and so, helpful in our relationship. And I just felt like we were so blessed. And I was so blessed to find this place and to find this family and somebody, people who were so supportive of our relationship. And just, it was such a beautiful thing I thought I had found. I just felt so blessed. And I was like, thank you, God, for leading me here, because I had looked for places like this place my whole life and never felt like any of the places were really right for me until this one. So this went on for about a year. He was kind of, counseling us and things like that. And then one Halloween, we went to a trunk or treat at our church. And my kids were very small at this time. They were like 5 and 6 years old, I want to say. They were really, really small. And we took them there and we ran into this person. And nothing happens, nothing inappropriate, nothing like that. Then that night, I get, later, late at night, I get a Facebook message from him. So I'm going to paraphrase the message here that this guy sent me on Halloween 5 years ago. And if this guy happens to somehow ever see this, I have every single inappropriate message that was ever sent to me. Ever. Now, it started off like, I'm paraphrasing, like I said, I was dressed as a cat. As a matter of fact, I'm going to insert the picture of myself here. That was my costume I was wearing, okay? It was not inappropriate. I was at my church's trunk or treat, so I'm not going to go to my church dressed like a freaking hoochie mama, okay? But this guy made comments as to how hot I looked that night. Now, somebody complimenting me saying I look hot isn't the end all be all. Though this guy was in a place of power, it was inappropriate, but nothing for me to alert the media. You know what I mean? Growing up, I have been, especially in my younger years when I'm 110 pounds and young and beautiful, I had guys hitting on me left and right. And unfortunately, I guess I'd gotten so used to being sexually harassed over the years because growing up, I always had very large boobs. I was a double D by the time I was a sophomore in high school. And you know how guys can be at that age. So my whole life, I had grown up with men making comments about me to where I was kind of numb and jaded to it. It didn't even affect me anymore. And I didn't even see that it was wrong. So I was kind of taken back though, because this is a guy who was a spiritual leader. And I'm the comments he's making are so not what I would expect from this man. And so the rest of the evening, I debated, do I tell my husband or not? Because my husband was very close with this guy and considered him almost like a father figure to him, or at least an older uncle, somebody that he went to for advice and was very close with. So the rest of the night, I went back and forth. Do I tell him? Do I not? Do I tell him? Do I not? And then I'm I can't hide anything from this man. I've got to tell him. So I tell my husband what was said, and literally, I've never seen this look on my husband's face. It looked like I had just kicked him in the stomach and knocked the wind out of him. He got really quiet and then came into our bedroom and just stayed really quiet. And my husband was crushed because he did not expect this from this man. And my husband is not a jealous man at all. He knows, he's even said, I have a beautiful woman. I understand guys are going to hit on her sometimes, like it happens. He's like, I can't go around fighting every guy that calls my woman beautiful or hot, But this guy makes me sad. This guy was my husband was close to, and this guy just basically got knocked off his pedestal. You know what I mean? Like when you have somebody in your life who you think is this amazing, wonderful person, and you realize they're not these superheroes, that they're human too. And it kind of ruins that illusion for you, you know what I mean? And that's what this was like for my husband. This guy got knocked off his pedestal, and my husband realized he's not the man he thought he was. So the next morning, I get a message from the guy, and he's apologizing to me. He said, I'm sorry. I should never have said that. And here's where I went wrong. I excused it and justified it. I said, it's okay. You're a guy. It happens. Like, that stuff happens. It's water under the bridge. And he even realized he was wrong because he said, I know, but I'm in a position at work where I should not be saying these things. And I was like, yes, well, the position you're in, you're still a guy. It happens. Let's just move on. So we did, and I told my husband, he apologized, and my husband let it go. My husband was like, okay, we're going to drop it. My husband is a very forgiving man. God bless him. I'm so grateful. He's very forgiving, and he let it go. He's not somebody who says it's going to be okay and then harbors feelings. Like, he really lets it go. And that's something I wish I had. He doesn't carry it around with him. So over the course of the next year, these conversations would always start out normal. And mind you, he would always message me. I stopped messaging him for advice after this because he was no longer that spiritual guide in my eyes, okay? This man started off he would tell me things. I would post a picture and then he'd send me a message, ooh, you have such seductive eyes, or random weird things like that. But again, they weren't enough warranted for me to alert the media, so I kept letting things go. And then when I would talk to him and talk back, most of the times I wouldn't even reply to him. But when I would talk back and then we would, get in a conversation, some time would go by, a month or two would go by, and I would forgive him and just be like, okay, this is, him. He's still that guy who helped Gabe and I through so many things. I try to forgive him. And we'd get into conversation about relationship, my relationship with Gabe, and he would start bad-mouthing his wife and telling me what a horrible mother she was, what a horrible wife she was, that she was never there for the kids, that she never cleaned the house. He had me feeling bad for him. He said he works all day, she doesn't do anything, she's a stay-at-home mom. And he gets home and the house is disgusting, that she doesn't pay any attention to their children. He cleans, he cooks, he does everything, and she does nothing, and that she lays around all day and does nothing. Or when she does get up, she just goes out and spends his money. And he proceeded to tell me, but I don't know on what, because she looks so frumpy. And that's not the word he used. I'm actually being kind as to what he said. He actually asked me if I could help by giving her a makeover or teaching her some points on how to look good, because he basically would want a girl who looked as good as me, and that I needed to teach her how to do her makeup and teach her how to dress. And I'm just like, I don't know if I should be flattered or disgusted, because right now I'm a little of both, you know? But this guy had me feeling so bad for him. I'm like, wow, really? Like, why are you still with her? You know, if she's all of these things, I would say. And he's just like, oh, well, we've got, you know, this many years of marriage. And come to find out, her parents own the land that they live on and stuff. So if he were to leave, he would have nothing. She comes from a wealthy family, and that's why I think he doesn't leave, to be honest. But I'm speculating there, but I'm pretty sure that's why. So all this goes on through the year, and the comments towards the last couple months start getting more and more inappropriate. He would literally, every time I would post a picture, send me a message commenting on that picture, talking about how hot I am, talking about how I'm his Achilles heel and his lust for me. And he was like I had some picture where like I was very toned down, and like he was like, I'm glad you toned it down a little bit. It helped me find my judgment. And I wouldn't even ever comment back, but on that picture I remember telling him, well, I'm glad you found your judgment. I'm glad you found it. Like, I remember just being so fucking disgusted and just grossed out. And like every time he would send me something, I would show my husband. I would legitimately show my husband every single time. And it was hard for him to say anything, you know, not say anything. And the biggest reason why I never wanted to say anything, and this is going to sound sad and so sad and sick, but I had been raped in my life, and I have been molested as a child as well. I have been both of those things as a child. And the first time it happened, and we went to the police, because we didn't go to the police soon enough, they couldn't get the evidence they needed, and they let the man who did that to me walk when I was only 5 years old. Then it happened to me again at 15. But because what happened at 5, I'm like, even when a man does this and rapes an underage girl or molests an underage girl, they end up getting off scot-free every time. So I figured, what's the point? What's the point anymore? Women aren't being believed anymore. Or it's being minimalized, and these men aren't, they're getting away with it, you guys. And it's sickening and disgusting, and unfortunately this is another case of getting away with it. But I'll keep on with the story. So a few more months went by, and he kept commenting every time I'd post a picture. It was more things like that, just really just disgusting, talking about my boobs and like just, oh God, and my cleavage, and how he wishes I would come over to his house so he could have me and his wife at the same table, and like just fucking disgusting things. And I stopped responding altogether. And then I remember one day in November, I want to say, it was like November of 2015, I get a message from him profusely apologizing like he's never apologized before. Like, he's apologized before to me, but not like this. And I'm like, I forgive you. And I just thought it was another one of his apologies. And then in a couple weeks, I'm going to see more messages again. Well, I found out why he apologized to me. Because it had come out at the place we go that he had raped a girl from the time she was little, and he continued to rape her and sexually harass her up into her adulthood. So now here's where things get very twisty, and just where my heart and my head, and I just am so wound up and don't know what to do. I have evidence of this guy's characteristic because this girl is being called a liar. People are taking sides. People actually left. We lost half the people that go to this place because of this. And here I am, and I have this proof. I have these screenshots of this proof of this guy's character. I don't know if it'll help, but it will show that he is a very inappropriate man and abuses his power. And I think he was apologizing in hopes that I don't tell anybody. Now, I didn't tell anybody because I was still somewhat new to this place. I'd only been there a few years. And I saw what these people were doing and saying about this girl, and I did not want them to do or say anything about that to me because this girl no longer goes to this place. I still attend this place. My children attend this place. And I didn't want my children being wrapped up in this or hearing anything like this or people assuming anything about me because they were blaming the girl. Isn't that what happens? The girl gets blamed. Well, what part did you play? What did you do? What were you wearing? Or were you drunk? Or maybe you were coming on to him or being flirtatious to him. Maybe you invited it, And that wasn't the case at all. I actually have proof. I didn't invite any of this shit. None of it. Now I have these messages and I've still saved them in my pocket just in case. Now, when this happened, the place that I go launched their own investigation into it. And I also figured, because they hired a private detective, I figured that since they had their own PI, they probably already saw the messages that he sent to me. And I'm still pretty sure at least most of the higher-ups know what he sent. Because I think they confiscated his computer at work. So I'm pretty sure they saw everything, but the public hasn't. Now, this guy ended up, before the investigation was completely over, or I don't know. I don't know if it was over or not, but they gave him a choice, basically step down or be fired. He chose to step down, and he's swearing up and down he's not guilty, but why would a guilty man step down? If you know you didn't do something, why would you lose your career? I know I would fight for mine if I didn't do it. I would be fighting tooth and nail, screaming at the top of my lungs, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. But this man didn't. He crept away like a fucking coward. Because he did it and he's guilty and he knows it. But he had other people believing he didn't. And come to find out, right before all this came to fruition, this man, knowing I had these messages, started putting in other people's ear. Oh, Gabe and Desiree, they're not what they seem. Oh, they're not perfect. Oh, they're this and that, or they're crazy, or this and that. He started putting shit like that in other people's heads. And the girl that this happened to, she's the one who told me. And I'm like, go figure. He's running around telling people things about me. I'm like, why would he talk about me? I'm not involved enough in that place for, people to even bring me up, I'm a very small fish in that pond, or in that lake, I just found it odd that he was already telling people things about me like that. Well, come to find out, all this came to fruition. He was trying to discredit me and discredit my character like he did to her. Now, the girl that was raped, I did reach out to her and let her know that, hey, I don't know if this will help, but I do have these messages that will show what his character is. And I did go meet with her, and I sat and talked with her. And I did offer her these messages. But for me, they came with stipulations, see. This is where I had issues. She was only wanting him to be fired and wanting his wife to find out because the wife was sticking by him. I was wanting, if he really raped this girl, I wanted criminal charges. I wanted to see a woman finally get vindication and the man finally get what they deserve, which is go to jail. Because I didn't get that when I was raped or molested. And I wanted that for this girl. And I told her, I will only come forward with the message if you pursue criminal charges. If you pursue criminal charges, I will back you 110%. She didn't want to. I don't know why she didn't want to, but she didn't want to. She just wanted a smear campaign for him at work and with his wife. And I think that's why a lot of people chose not to believe her, because what girl who has been raped or molested doesn't try to pursue criminal charges? Now, the only people who say that are the people who have never been raped or molested themselves. It is very hard to keep having to relive that shit every day. And if you pursue it criminally, you're going to have to relive it with the cops. You're going to have to relive it with an investigator. Then you're going to have to relive it in a courtroom. You have to relive this over and over and over again. And no rape victim or molestation victim wants to go through that. And then, even if you do go through all of that, there's still a chance he'll walk. Now, she did end up getting what she wanted. He did end up, stepping down and leaving the place. And he ended up stepping down and leaving the place, but it divided where we go. We lost a lot of people, and there have been people posting on Facebook talking crap about this girl. And for the last 3 years, I've watched random posts go up and they talk crap. And it's been so hard for me not to just scream. You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know who this man is. Or every time a person from this place posts up that, oh, this man is so wonderful, thank you so much to this man for helping us, I want to scream. Do you even know who you're bringing your daughters around? Because if he did that to a girl starting when she was like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, you guys have daughters about that age. Or what about, when your daughter is that age? He's going to do it again. If he did it to her and he was doing it to multiple women and was already trying to court and groom me, he's not done. He may, because he's gotten caught, laid low for a while, but he's going to do it again. People like that don't change. So where I'm torn is just the other day, and why I'm bringing this up now is because the other day on Facebook there was another comment on this girl saying, we're talking about the Kavanaugh case and how women have been falsely accusing men, and women coming also talking crap about Kavanaugh. And, it was a war back and forth on Facebook, a debate, if you will. And one of the ladies at the place we go brought up, well, I watched this man in power be falsely accused of rape and this and that. And I'm like, it just rocked me again to my core. And every single time, like I said, I want to shout, you have no idea about this man. And I want to just start posting all the screenshots of this conversations and just show that this guy is scum. He is scum. He badmouthed his wife. He hit on another woman. He hit on another man's wife. He is an adulterer at the least. And I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe he did something to that girl. Whether or not is it as extreme as she says it is, but he did something to her because her story didn't come out of nowhere, and she had too many similarities to the things that he said to her that he has said to me. And where I'm torn is like, okay, the man's already gone out, and it's been 3 years. It's like, do I make this public, or do I just continue to hold in this secret, And that's something else. You're as sick as your secrets. And so that's why I'm so glad I have this community, a very public community, but a community of my 1,000 subscribers that I've become friends with, that I can vent to about this stuff. Because this happens to every single one of us. Every last one of us has had a man be so inappropriate with us. And I think I'm a very strong-willed person, and I'm a kind of girl that doesn't take shit from anybody. But when it comes to sexual harassment or sexual assault, I shrink back to that little 5-year-old girl who is scared that nobody's going to believe her. And we shouldn't have a society like that, you guys. We shouldn't have. For our daughters, we shouldn't make them feel like nobody's going to believe you. If you come forward, if a man touches you, if a man sexually harasses you, you shouldn't be made to feel like somebody is not going to believe you. And it disgusts me that that's the world we live in today, you guys. Our kids deserve better than that. I failed this woman by not standing up. I failed her. And that's something I've had to live with. And it has really, like I said, it has eaten at me for the past few years. It has eaten at me. But I know, because I'm a believer in God, that this man will get his karma one day. God will take care of him. He will have his judgment day. I am a firm believer in that. But if you know something's being done, please speak up. I know it's hard, but it will be the bravest thing you do. And so I just wanted to have a little more serious discussion with you guys and just say, me too. Me too. It's happened to me too. And some of this movement has been ridiculous to me, but then I have to reflect and look on my own stuff. Girls should not have to worry about if they're going to be believed. We should not have to worry about, going to work and being taken advantage of because we're female, so we're the weaker sex. It is time as women that we stand up and be stronger together, and talking about it, literally, that's all it takes, is talking about it, getting our voices out there and getting our voices heard is going to make all the difference. Tell your stories. Number one, it will free you. It will be so freeing to get it out there and get it off your chest. And I'm so glad that someone else finally gets to hear this story for this girl. And if the girl is watching, I'm sorry that I failed you. I really am. I should have been more there. I should have been more proactive in it. But for my own fears, I didn't. I know, what a tough note to end on, But it happens to all of us. And if you know something happening, please speak up. We're stronger together, you guys. That's, and if any one of you girls need someone to talk to, my social medias are all linked below. Please feel free to message me. I promise you, I am good at keeping secrets, and I at least want to be there, if any of you guys need to talk. I've been through it. So please feel free to utilize me. I'll be back in the next video with more uplifting video. Sorry to leave you guys on such a down note. But yeah, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay strong, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.